Hi, this is Shep Altschuler, publisher of TimeSharing Today. Welcome to this broadcast of TimeSharing Today Radio, featuring news and views of owners and industry professionals. Today, we are being joined by timeshare owners Bryan and Denee Felber, who will be discussing their experiences in family timeshare vacations, along with their perspectives about the industry. Hi, Denee and Bryan. Welcome to the broadcast.
Good morning.
Hi, how are you?
Very good, thank you. Appreciate you joining us today. Bryan, let me start with you. Tell our listeners, how long have you been a subscriber to TimeSharing Today?
I don't remember for sure, but I'm thinking it's probably been about 5 years or so, maybe a little bit longer, but not by much. So 5 years is probably a good number.
Right, and I just want to say we appreciate the recent contributions you've made with articles in the magazine. They've been very good, well written, terrific photographs, and we appreciate it. When did you and Denee first discover timeshare ownership?
Well, we've known about it probably for 30 years or so. Having gone to presentations over the years and whatnot, especially in our earlier years together, but when our income was a lot lower and we didn't have as much opportunity to even consider it. And then probably it's been about 10 years or so, we were at the San Diego County Fair and got hooked into going to a timeshare presentation and almost bought. In fact, we kind of did, and then we canceled it because we got to thinking, my parents own at the Marriott Desert Springs, and so we got to thinking, maybe that would be actually a better place for us instead of the one that we were considering. So we ended up buying a Marriott Desert Springs 2 on the resale market, and so we saved a lot of money that way. Although with the way the economy's gone, it's not worth near what we paid for it. But that's pretty typical with timeshare. So we weren't necessarily expecting we were going to make money. But it's been about 10 years since we've owned. And again, like I said, we've known about it for about 30 years, but it just didn't work for us prior to that.
Yeah, do you own other timeshare properties as well?
I guess it's been about 5 years ago maybe. We went to Sedona and we got roped into a presentation there also, and we actually considered buying there. And then we started thinking, we've tried to exchange into beach locations, and they're very, very hard to get. So then we thought, let's see if we can find one that we can buy. And that was when the market was down, probably not at its lowest, but it was pretty low. And we used one of your advertisers, actually, Try West, and we found it. He actually initially recommended the San Clemente Inn, but when we went and visited, they're not right on the beach, and there's kind of a long walk up and down a hill to get to the beach, and a state campground in between. And somehow or another, I can't remember how, we found the San Clemente Cove, which is just across from the pier. And so we ended up buying there, and we just love it there. It's not a Marriott. Marriott's hard to beat, the space and the quality and whatnot. But the Cove is just a great place. They're smaller units, but they're very nice, and they're right by the beach and by the pier. So there's lots of activity and people watching and beach time and whatnot.
So it turned out the resale market was the best source for you to go, and you used one of our licensed resale brokers who advertised with us. Today, there's all different uses of timeshares, and from using the home resort and exchanging. And what do you feel is the best use of your timeshare properties?
Well, our timeshare properties serve two different purposes for us. We typically use the Palm Desert Marriott as our exchange property. For the, I believe, 8 years we've owned it, we've only stayed there actually once, and we've exchanged it every year and gone to wonderful places with our exchanges. So that is really the purpose of that one. And then our San Clemente Cove, we purchased that not with the idea of exchanging, but with the idea of going there every year. And we can hardly wait every year to get there again. It's become kind of a place of respite for us, and we just so enjoy that. So, you can think strategically when you buy your timeshares, and you can buy for certain purposes, and that's really what we've done.
So it's kind of a mix, but I know from my own experience where I own down in the Caribbean that I go to that resort. My wife and I travel there every year for years and years, and it is truly like our second home, and we get to know local shopkeepers, we get to know other owners, and it really feels like we're returning back to our place when we go there. I guess that's the same experience that you have as well.
Exactly. Yes. In fact, we find when we go and stay at the Cove, because we go there every year, and I think, we tend to go back the same time every year, approximately the same time every year. So it's just been really fun. The Cove is really great about having community time in the common room, and they'll have coffees, and they'll have a wine night, a margarita night, different things to encourage, the owners to get to know each other, and we've really enjoyed that as well.
Now, Bryan did send us a great article on family reunions, and you have used that where you have generations sharing your timeshares with you. Can you tell us a little bit about that as well?
We've done it a couple of different ways. One of the things we liked about the San Clemente Cove was it's about an hour and 15 minutes from our home. So our kids can come up, even for a day, or if they want to come up for more than one day. Most of the time it doesn't work well for them to come for more than one day. One of my sons is a firefighter, and he's on and off, every other day pretty much. And then my other son's a police officer, and so his schedule is a little off at times too. So it was nice to be able to find a place where they could come up just for the day when they have a day off and whatnot. The other thing we use, and then also our parents have come up, because we all live in the same town, a suburb of San Diego. And so the parents are all also able to come up, and so we've had a lot of opportunities to, get together there. In addition, we, with the trading that Denee mentioned that we do at the Marriott, one of the things we've done with that, we started doing it must have been about 6 years ago. We started trading every other year to go skiing. And so we've gone to Park City twice, we've gone to Tahoe once, and it's a whole family trip. So all the kids and their families come with us as well. So we get a full 2-bedroom unit, and we're a little crowded, but it works. It's a great time.
So how many are usually on these ski vacations? On
the ski vacations, we've had 9, wow. And that's if you count the little grand. We've got one 6-year-old grandson and one 1.5-year grandson, and so if you count them, I think the number was 9, if I remember right, maybe 10.
Bryan, why don't you give us a little bit of idea what the economic value has been for you and your family in timeshare ownership?
It's really been amazing, because if you consider, especially on these ski trips where we're getting a 2-bedroom unit, you've got a kitchen, and if you consider how much it would cost to rent a condo, a 2-bedroom condo, or a hotel that would accommodate that many people and wouldn't have a kitchen, it would cost significantly more. And with the kids being in the early parts of their lives, with lower on the salary spectrum, because they're early in their careers, they wouldn't be able to afford to go to a place like that for a week, especially those that have kids. And so the other thing that helps a lot is with the kitchen. Obviously, we're able to prepare our own meals and save a lot of money versus going out and eating all the time, which we do a little bit of that, but most of the time we're eating in. And we all take turns, buying and sharing the meals. And the kids, their only other expense other than the meals and the lift tickets, is just the transportation to get there. Other than that, we cover the unit, because basically it's already paid for, other than the maintenance fees every year. But so it's a real benefit to the whole family.
Yeah, and give us a little bit of an idea of what actually the trends in maintenance fees, and if there's been any special assessments. So what has it actually been costing you on an annual basis, for these timeshares? With
the Cove, it's been about, I think the last year was probably about $700, so they're a little bit on the lower side, but it's a 1-bedroom unit versus a 2-bedroom at the Marriott. The Marriott, I think they're approaching $1,200 now, which is getting a little bit steep. Even if I forget about what the purchase price was, and even then, even if I amortize that over however many years we think we're going to be using it, it may still, it's still a good deal, because again, a 2-bedroom condo or even a hotel without a kitchen is probably going to cost more than $1,200 for a week. So it's still a pretty good deal. But the maintenance fees do keep going up every year, and the Marriott seem to go up a little bit more than the Coves, but that's just the trend.
And you get that back in having well-maintained resort, and just having the family experience in a condo-style unit is definitely has its benefits. Were there any special assessments that you had that you felt were imposed that were necessary or not necessary over the years?
We've not had any. It's not to say we won't at some future point, but so far none of our resorts have charged any special or had a need to charge any special assessments yet.
Right, and that's a good indication of resorts that are managing their reserves and have adequate funding to keep the property well maintained. Now, there's been a significant amount of negative press about timesharing in the media, and I know you're aware of it and you reacted to it, but tell our listeners, what is your opinion about that? You're a happy timeshare owner, yet, what is your feeling about everything that's going on in the mainstream media that's so negative about timesharing?
Yeah, it's funny too, because there was a thing on our local news station the other night. We've got a kind of one of these consumer crusader types, and he had a negative piece on timesharing. I can't remember exactly what the topic was, but it was, I guess the way I look at it is, there are some negative things going on, and people have different perspectives. So what works for one person doesn't necessarily work for another one. So if something changes and it doesn't work for somebody, obviously that's going to be something that's going to get some negative press. So, for example, some of the resorts are changing to these point systems instead of the deeded week exchange type thing. And for some people, even like when I read TimeSharing Today, some people think it's great and love it, and other people, have had problems with it. And it seems like some of the resorts, it appears, and we haven't gone points yet, even though Marriott's tried to get us to go that way, but it seems like one of the problems with the points that I'm seeing or hearing is that the resorts kind of inflate the value of what the week would be versus the amount of points they give you. So at some places, trades become more difficult. And then obviously there was all the press about, RCI renting out weeks and making it harder for their members to be able to exchange and whatnot. And it does seem like it's become a little more difficult to exchange or, to get a place that you want, especially if it's in a peak season. But, some of these things also are, I think, probably the result of people not carefully going into the decision to go into timesharing. I think you really have to think about what you want and how you want to use it, and how desirable a place you think you're going into, and what the trading value is, and all of that kind of stuff. So that's one of the reasons when we bought the Marriott, we did a lot of research to find out, how valuable is it, what's the trading value, and so on. And so that's, again, one of the reasons we got the Marriott. And then with the Cove, we got that one because we love the beach, and we knew we'd want to go there regularly. So we knew whether it had any good trading value or not, which it happens to have fairly good trading value. We'd have the option to do either one. We could trade it, or we could, with the Cove, we can go there every year like we probably will do most times. The other option is, if it's a valuable enough place and a desirable enough week that you get, you can, rent it out and cover your maintenance fee and whatnot. So I do think that it would be helpful if the industry did find a way to help people that do, get to a point in their life where, it doesn't work for them anymore, they can't travel anymore or whatnot, and they need to get out from under it. Advantageous for both the industry and for the members to be able to do that. And I know a lot of the negative press has been about people needing to get out from under their timeshares and not having an easy way to find that. So I do think, there's a little bit of validity to that, and the industry could certainly help by, looking for solutions to that could help everybody all the way around, because then they also avoid the negative of people disposing of their timeshare in not the best way, so that the resort doesn't end up having a lot of delinquent accounts because they can't afford to pay the maintenance fees anymore, or they dispose of the property in an improper way, so that the maintenance fees don't get covered.
Yeah, and that's the key issue, and I think the industry is really starting to address the resale problem of aging resorts and aging owners. And now, how do your kids feel about timeshare ownership? Are they happy to have you own them? Do they have any interest in becoming owners at some point?
They have thoroughly enjoyed the timeshare experience, and because of their enjoyment of that, we've even had, I know one of our sons has already expressed that, we're at the point now where we only have 2 grandchildren, but as our family grows, because we have 4 children, as our family grows, the 2-bedroom, 2-bath isn't going to work anymore. And they have so thoroughly enjoyed it that one of our sons already, who's getting married here pretty quickly, has already expressed that he would like to buy so that we can get exchanges together.
Right.
And that way we will have, together we would have 4 bedrooms and 2 baths, or 4 baths. So it's really been a good experience for them.
That's terrific. So it shows, kind of dispels the myth, because I hear so often that the kids love it, but they don't want to own it. And then we hear many stories and reported on that there are the offspring really do think that if you approach the purchase of a timeshare sensibly, it does still make economic value, economic sense to them. So that's good news to hear as well. Then maybe you want to answer this, or Bryan, how do your resorts keep you updated about important information that's going on at the resort?
Well, the San Clemente Cove, we get a monthly newsletter. It used to come, in the U.S. mail as a hard copy newsletter. Now, and we have the option now to have it electronically, which is what we've chosen to do. So we're updated all the time on what's going on. They have a yearly owners meeting up in San Clemente every year, and that's so much fun. It's just a really fun time for owners to get together. We have enough history there now that when we go, we know people, and, they serve us a wonderful meal. We have our elections. They give out prizes, and it's just so much fun. Now, the Marriott is, so much more on a grander scale. It's not quite as personalized, and I'm not aware of any other than, getting the yearly report that tells us how the budget is doing and everything at our Palm Desert Resort. I don't believe we receive anything else. Is there anything else that you've seen come, Bryan, from the Marriott?
Yeah, we did. I think I don't recall offhand the regularity, but I'm pretty sure it's probably along the lines of quarterly or at least semi-annually. We'll get some kind of an email that has minutes of recent board meetings and whatnot. I don't think it's as regular as monthly, but I think it's probably quarterly and certainly at least semi-annually.
Right, but the experience is there, and when you show up at the resort, you know that it's going to be ideal and meets all your expectations as an owner. I would assume that's correct.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, I just want to go back to your initial purchase, because when I have some of these conversations, sometimes the wife is a little bit quiet, and it seems like the husband was the one who decided to get them involved in timesharing in the first place. It's not always a joint decision. It sounds like your decision to purchase was really a joint decision. Is that correct, Bryan?
Yeah, we definitely were on the same page, and we, when we've gone to the timeshare presentations before, of course they always make it seem really, really appealing, and some of them are, and some of them aren't so much. I can think of some presentations we went to about some resorts that, were probably a little bit, questionable about the real value was, and pretty clear right off that neither of us were interested. There were a couple along those 30 years that we went to that were tempting, but we usually opted out until, again, the one we did about 10 years or so ago that we almost bought, and then had second thoughts and thought, maybe the Marriott would be a better place for us. So yeah, in each case, I think we were pretty much on the same page. I don't remember that I was trying to convince her one way or the other too hard, or that she was trying to convince me one way or the other too hard. I think we pretty much had the same mind in pretty much every instance of a presentation we went to.
Good. And Denee, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I just said truly we were. Each time we were, it was a joint decision.
And Denee, what are your future plans? Are you going to keep your inventory of timeshares now? Do you think you might sell at some point, transfer to your children, or actually make additional purchases? What's the future of timesharing for you and Bryan?
Well, both the properties we own are deeded properties, so our intention is to keep those and then pass them on to our children so that their families will benefit from them. At this point in our life, because we're both working full time, we don't have enough time that we can get away to have to own more than what we own currently. So right now our plan is just to sit tight and enjoy the two that we own. And then eventually, when we get to retirement age, which isn't too far off, our thought is that possibly we would want to buy more at that point in our life.
We do every once in a while get an urge to maybe buy another week at the Cove, which we may eventually do, but for the time being, I think we're holding off of that as well. But it's something that we're kind of thinking about, kind of in the back of our mind, so it may happen, before we retire or not. And we're hoping to retire maybe in about 10 to 13 years or something like that. So it's possible we may get another one before we retire. It's possible we may wait until after we retire to get one more.
Before we close, are there any tips that you, Bryan and Denee, want to offer our listeners about owning a timeshare?
I think I kind of go back to some of the things I mentioned when you asked about some of the press on timesharing, and really, just I urge anybody that's considering going into timesharing to really think about what it is they want and to really do research. Look at the resort that you're going to go to. Is it a place you think you're going to really want to go to often and regularly? Or is it a place that has good trading value and you really are buying it for the primary purpose of trading it to go other places? And then, again, making sure that if that's the case, that it's a high value, high demand resort that you will be able to get a fair trade for. But also to realize going in with, eyes open, some of the issues that mentioned as well, and whether or not that's something that you can handle, whether or not that's something that would affect you or bother you, and again, which of the plans might work best for you, points versus the deeded weeks, or whatever other options there might be out there, and to really think out that process and to really do your research and to really again really be sure about why you want to get a timeshare. The value, the value is great if you get a place that's good for you and that is, that will meet your needs and that can save you a lot of money as compared to hotels. But if you don't do it with eyes wide open and with doing your research and knowing exactly what you want and why you want it, you can end up getting into something that isn't going to make you happy and that could ultimately cost you even more than what else you might do, hotel-wise or whatever your other options might be.
Yeah, I think that's good advice, and just think before you buy, as we might say. And did Denee want to add anything to that?
I would just reiterate that. I think that it really all comes down to using wisdom when you purchase, and you're paying attention to how time sharing can really work for you as a family, and be smart about it. Not buying more than you can reasonably use, and buying, again, like what Bryan said, buying in a place that would have good trading value, and a place that if you don't have, there's additional cost to exchanging. So you also want to think about where you buy. Is it a place that you want to go to? So just if you in a place in your life where you really can't exchange, then you know that you've got your location that you enjoy and you can go and find rest there.
I think that's very good advice, and it's a great way to end the interview today, and I appreciate that you took the time to join us. And again, Bryan, I want to thank you for the articles and great photos, and hopefully you'll be continuing to make those contributions to TimeSharing Today. We appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you.
And this concludes this broadcast of TimeSharing Today Radio. Your views, experiences, and opinions are very important. And if you'd like to comment on today's broadcast or have a suggestion for a future broadcast,